Welcome to the egcfpodcast, where we have in-depth conversations about topics of the Bible that we may not cover on Sunday mornings. My name is Nate, and today I'm joined by Rob Woodrum, Janelle Green, Matt Green, and later on, Blake Roseman. In this episode, we discuss the different missions we support here at Eastgate.
My name's Janelle, and I am one of the pastors here at Eastgate.
My name is Rob. I'm also a pastor here at Eastgate.
My name is Matt. I'm not one of the pastors here at Eastgate.
You're a worship pastor.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You're pastor,
Jeez.
pastor, comma,
Should we
worship.
start
No.
Okay, part of the reason that we wanted to start this podcast was to get our personality out there, and I thought...
We regret it.
Yeah.
Very much
we're
so.
regretting it.
I think the hate mail should have tipped us off.
I thought it would show our personality if we talked about the missions that we support, why we support them.
Yeah, I grabbed, Dad's picking up some little laminated bookmarks that I brought. I brought props today. Over by the info hub, when you first walk into the building on that bottom white shelf, it are laminated bookmarks of missions that we support. And they're...
This is news to me. I had no idea these existed.
You know what? I just found it this morning, but Liz probably made these a while
This
ago.
is really nice.
Very
So,
nice. Good
thank
job,
you,
Liz.
I think this is an example of her telling us and showing us something, and we probably were really excited, and then we forgot about it. But what's really cool about these bookmarks is that it has a description of the mission that we support. It also has a QR code that you can scan it to learn more. So this is a really good opportunity if anybody does want to take some bookmarks home, use it in their book, and maybe whenever they use it, just can be a reminder to pray for these specific groups. So we have a group, several different groups that we support, and there's a couple that we had to put on hold for what we support month to month. But our goal is at the end of the year to give some of that money back. But we had to do some budget cuts. But we'd still like to talk about them because we think they're great.
They're excellent missions. Every mission that Eastgate has supported over the years, we've done our level best to vet out, and several of these we've had, personal experiences with, and the rescue mission is one. I'm actually on the board of the rescue mission, and
yeah, so that's the Panama City Rescue Mission. It kind of had a relaunch.
it did. It went through a lot of different phases and changes. Hurricane Michael, of course, did a real number on it. Leadership changes had to take place, and so it's kind of a restructuring right now that's going on. But the whole idea behind it is to demonstrate the love of Christ by providing temporary shelter on the women's side, providing temporary shelter, and then a program if drug addiction is involved in this, or chemical addiction of any kind. And then on the men's side, they do have a program for the men's. They've got not a lot of guys in there right now, but they're working. Again, it's a restructuring thing. They're working on getting the people in place, the counselors and staff members on board, and so it's a work in progress, but it's a really good thing. It's a great thing that's happening there. I'm very much invested in it, and very much believe that this is a good cause, and we need it here in our local area, because at this point in time, and we still don't even have it because the rescue mission can't do it fully, we do not have emergency shelter, for men and women or whatever. We've got some limited for women, but Bay County at this time is without that kind of resource. So we really need to see something happen here.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we talk about, too, at Eastgate with missions we support, that's something that I don't know that everybody realizes, that when they donate to Eastgate, they're also donating to these other things.
That's
that
correct.
when we say we support them, it's not just like we agree
We cheer
and
them
hurrah,
on.
but that we are
Good
donating.
job.
But Eastgate, we as a church and financially have made that commitment to model the generosity that we want to encourage with everybody in the community, that we don't ever just want to be like, donate to Eastgate and we're going to hoard all the money and hold it really tight, but that we want to be that example of donating what we basically we take what we need to cover the bills and provide for the staff and the different ministries that we have within our church, and then we are committed to donating the rest away. And so we do have monthly support that goes out to the mission. They are getting a check from Eastgate every single month. So when you donate to Eastgate, you're donating to Eastgate, but you're also donating to several other missions as well.
That's correct. And on those same lines, on the bookmarks, if you find them,
We've hidden them all around the building.
It's an Easter egg hunt. I don't know how they're going to find these. We're on staff and we didn't know they were there.
Well, that's the thing is there's so many times people say like, oh, I had no idea you donated to other places or that this happened. And so these bookmarks are part of an effort to try to communicate that. But maybe we need to communicate that these exist.
Really? Should we though? I mean,
they'll figure it out. I think they should pray about it.
I think it could be fun for
Holy Spirit will
those
lead.
listening to the podcast that, like we say, we're going to hide 3 bookmarks in certain places around the building. You can turn them in for like a...
we'll do a donation in your name, an extra donation in your name if you find all 3.
I was going to say, if they find them, they get to keep the bookmark.
Oh.
No, I'm like doing an extra like $20 donation
being
or whatever.
serious?
Yeah, that'd
Why
be
not?
hilarious.
That would be
Great.
fun.
I love it.
So let's hide. I think there's 2 different bookmarks. So there's one
There's
that's
3. I've got 3 here.
They're all different.
Yes.
One is front and back, Rob. Oh, no, you do
They're
have
both.
Okay.
There's 3.
Okay,
There's 3
so
different types.
We have an Indeed and
You're
Truth.
right. He says with such
I'm
shock.
what? Well, what?
So
He's hoarding the third
so
one. I've never seen that one.
we have an Indeed and Truth bookmark. We have a bookmark that has the Ark on one side and Beach Care Services, and then the other one, Dad, that one's Bible Project and something else.
Bible Project and the rescue mission.
The
So we got
Panama City
Ark
Rescue.
and Beach Care Services over there. So Beach Care Services is actually the Ark is another one. I'd like to talk about the Ark.
Okay, but first let's talk about hiding these bookmarks. That's more important.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
they're going to be hidden either in the main room, the cafe.
There'll be 3 of them total.
3 in different locations.
So you have to find all 3? I think you should
No,
just
just
find
if
one.
you
Okay.
find one, and maybe we'll write podcast and Sharpie or something on it, so you know you're not
You've
just
gotten the
stealing.
right one.
Yeah.
So don't go over there to that thing.
Yeah, you can't trick us. We're going to use a Sharpie.
Wait, but there's 5 missions. This is so important
No.
that everyone hears this process. There's 5 missions, but
Mm-hmm.
only 3. So if somebody finds that bookmark, which mission are we donating?
I'll donate to both sides of the
Wow.
bookmark.
That is
'Cause this
generous.
this game is worth it. Nate, you
I wondered
said
if we want to hide 5, is what I'm saying.
No.
And then we get to give get to donate in more people's names.
I'm not sure we have 5 people that listen. So I think that 3
I'm
is
with,
good.
I'm with her.
But Nate, you said you wanted our personalities.
This will be the way to test
okay?
whether or not anybody's actually listening to this podcast.
I like
These
the
bookmarks are going to be here for decades.
It'll be
Long
like
after we're
in Christmas
gone.
Vacation when he's reaching in, he finds the old, like, what's this all about? Well, way back in 2025.
oh
This
my
will turn
gosh.
back into like a hair salon, and somebody will be like, "What's this?"
Man, now I just want to do a scavenger hunt every podcast. I'm so excited.
Yes,
okay.
this is awesome.
Okay, this is good. All right, what were we talking about?
The Ark. We were going to change to the
Yes.
Ark.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is one of the groups that we did pause our financial giving. So just in full transparency, but it's not because we don't think
It's
they're
not because we
amazing.
don't believe in them, because we believe in them wholeheartedly.
And our goal is at the end of the year, if our budget has enough, then our goal is to write them a check at the end of the year for what had been cut.
That's
year.
right. So when I talk about emergency shelter, they do have housing for people over there, but they do have to be in the program, at least the last time I talked to them. And so, again, we're still in need of emergency housing for unhoused people, but the Ark has an outstanding program over there. And they also have a coffee house attached to it, the Pour, and it's very popular. It's a really popular coffee house.
It
So-
actually has a really delicious giant cinnamon roll. So
oh, really?
yeah, that's
Okay.
worth the trip. But I'll say too, that they can house families. That's what makes them
Ah.
unique.
That's right.
And we've talked to them because I always have a soft spot for the kiddos.
Right.
And so I'm regularly like showing up to them like, what can we do for the children? And so they did reach out like a scary witch.
it's just,
Can we give it a
I dress up like that
Come
as well.
closer, child.
Yeah, no, they love it. They lock the doors when they see me coming.
It's weird.
here
They
for
suddenly,
the
the
kids.
Pour's open, and then I go up there, and all of a sudden it's closed.
Like, where's the cinnamon rolls? Anyway, they did reach out to us at the beginning of the school year because there were 4 or 5 children in their program that needed help with back to school clothes and supplies, and that is so expensive. And they do several places in town locally will do backpacks full of school supplies, which is great. But these children needed some new clothes, and so Eastgate, we put that out. I mean, so last minute, just does anybody want to help? And in like 24 hours,
though, my goodness,
a ton of money came in, and we bought gift cards for them and gave it to the families, and they sent back. What was great about it too is that the people from the Ark were really careful to say, we have leaders going with them. We're making sure that this money is being spent where it's supposed to be, and we trusted the Ark to do that. But they went above and beyond in being transparent with that, and they sent photos of the kids. And their outfits, and just lots of smiling faces, and you see that stuff, and I'm like, gosh, we should have done double, because it's just it's a really beautiful thing that we got to be a part of. Dad, is there anything else you wanted to say about the Ark?
No, I mean that's it. It's a really great organization. It's if you are looking for something to support on a local level, they are 100% a worthy cause and just doing a great work there. Know the leadership, and they're wonderful people, and so.
And I think they do a church thing. I can't remember if it's Tuesdays or Thursday nights that everybody in their program participates in it.
Thursdays, I think.
And they do invite other churches to come and join in as well, and kind of get an opportunity to see what they're doing. So, okay.
Then Beach Care Services, it's all on the same lines of that. Beach Care Services, amazingly enough, I was actually part of the process of that being organized.
Wow.
Way back when Eastgate first started, back in 95, I got invited to what was then called the Beach Ministerial Association, which was just a meeting of all the churches locally. Why? What? How? Why is that a brag?
You're just always bragging about how long you've been a Christian, and we're sick of it.
Okay. Anyway, I get it. Anyway, it was really great for me because I was able to network with some of the local pastors. I got to meet Greg George from Gulf Beach Baptist at the time, was called, and what is now Woodlawn Church was Woodlawn Methodist at the time, but Ron Ball was a great man, really very helpful and instrumental in forming my leadership skills. And I say skills, and you can't see the air quotes, but one time when we were all meeting, they've got different terminology for it, and I'm stumbling here because at the Episcopal Church, it's not a pastor, is it a rector? Maybe a rector, something. I'm so sorry.
I know.
For my Episcopalian friends, I apologize for my lack of understanding.
I know one time somebody didn't know what to call me, and they said ministress.
Ministress.
I said, that's right. I said, you can just call me Janelle.
You can call me Elvira. Okay, so I apologize to all of my Episcopal friends who, for my lack of knowledge of how that works. But anyway, he brought up the point that at that time we had nothing to offer those who were in need on the beach side. And granted, at that time too, the beach side, population shrank to almost nothing on the winter time. So they started something called Supper at Grace, which I think they're still doing on Back Beach Road, the Grace Episcopal Church. And we participated in that a few times when we were there, when we were still back in the Promenade Mall days. And then he started talking about, look, can we form an organization that could begin to address needs for immediate emergency things like getting a light bill paid or medications or things like that. And that was the formation of, we actually began it. And then, just one of the most wonderful, benevolent business owners here on the beach, Bill Buskell, who the owner, everybody called him Pineapple or Pine, and he's owner of Pineapple Willie's. He got word of it, got interested in it, and honestly, guys, he pretty much took it over. I mean,
but in a good way.
In a good way. I mean, so we're fumbling around trying to figure out how to do this, and I mean, he jumped in, took charge, and it's a thriving. I call it a ministry. I know it's not, particularly identified as a Christian ministry right now, but it just does, a great service here for people in need on the beach. And so that's another great organization that
I know
we've been supporting, I believe, since it all started. So.
Yeah, we always donate some to them, and I mean, I know people that have called them for help with the electric bill and things like that. And I mean, they do ask for proof that you are on the beach and things like that. But I mean, they are there to help. They are not a group that's just pretending to be generous and like you'll see if they actually do it. I mean, they follow through.
And believe me, look, and back when this was starting, all these people, not all these people, suggestions were there. Is this, has this suddenly turned into something, some sort of like front so that we can hide taxes or whatever? But it wasn't. And I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. Bill was an awesome individual. I mean,
we have a personal connection with them too because Melissa is on our board.
Oh, right. Yeah. Melissa Traxler.
Melissa Traxler, and she's the manager of Pineapple Willie's.
She's the CEO, I believe.
CEO of Pineapple Willie's. So there's a connection there as
And
well.
she's on the board at
Beach
Care.
Care Services. So, so we know them and trust them implicitly.
Well, honestly, I mean, that's the thing. The Pineapple Willie's is the joke used to be Pineapple Willie's is a T-shirt shop with a restaurant attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
I say Pineapple Willie's is like a charitable ministry with a T-shirt shop and a restaurant attached to it because they do great work here.
Probably, it's my personal favorite, like local sort of touristy restaurant.
Yeah. The food
Oh,
is
yeah.
delicious.
Actually, great food.
Great wings.
By the way, just for the record, looks like an Episcopalian priest is called a reverend.
A reverend. So I thought for sure I heard rector somewhere, but okay, reverend. I like it.
Okay, so we talked about the Panama City Rescue Mission and Beach Care Service and the ARC. What are the other missions that we support?
So these are more. Those were actually. I don't know if we did
Those
this on
are-
purpose. Those were local.
Yeah,
Oh,
those
yes,
are the local
we planned
ones.
that.
And these are national or international.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're both international at that
Yeah,
point, but
So we could start with Bible Project.
okay.
Because we stopped giving them money as well. But we like them. We could just support them emotionally right now.
We support them by using them in almost every small group, meetings,
Yeah.
Sunday morning services. We're using the resources and the teachings that.
And you know what? And I'm still amazed at how many people have not heard of the Bible Project. And so this is a chance for me to at least say, go to the Bible Project. I'm telling you, it is probably the most important thing coming out of the American church right now. There's a lot of important things going on or whatever, but
what
this
about
is
Eastgate? That wasn't supposed to make you laugh that hard.
Oh, sorry.
Well, and the thing about Bible Project is their resources are endless, and they have like every type of resource.
And
They
they
have
do.
studies and videos and podcasts and teachings and.
It's amazing. Yeah. And it's just profoundly. Here's the thing. Studying the Bible, like, my entire adult life, and still just finding things and discovering patterns and discovering new ways of looking at Scripture through the Bible Project. It has been profoundly impactful on me.
I think it's incredible how they have maintained their resources being free. Because I think normally when something like this, especially in our culture, gets successful, you start monetizing it pretty quickly.
yeah.
Because they have college level courses
They do.
that they could easily say,
Which I've taken and you've taken.
yes,
So.
and they could easily say, okay, well, you can have the YouTube videos for free, but if you want to download extra content,
Join our Patreon.
yes, exactly. Or you can do a subscription that'll get
Yeah.
you. I mean, and I don't think we would have thought anything of it. We just would have been like, yeah, it's a great resource and it's worth that. But the fact that they have stayed where they give every bit of it away for free and they just rely on the donations we stopped giving. But our goal is to add to, again, give them
That's
a check
correct.
at the end of the year. And
That's what that was part of the process as we looked at it, like who could probably afford the loss at this time, and those were the ministries that we had to look at. I mean, we didn't want to take it away from ministries that maybe on a smaller scale that could, that really, really are dependent on that. So.
But I mean, just we've all studied the Bible or read certain books of the Bible that were like, what am I supposed to get out of this? Or God, how does this
and
have to do with anything? And they're just YouTube videos. If you just watch the 5-minute videos or 10-minute videos, really bring context for that scripture and also how it fits in the rest of the Bible narrative, and it helps things to make sense. They also have like a poster of each book of the Bible that you can print out, and I printed out because we're going through Micah, and so I printed out that poster. I have it taped above my desk, and so when we're kind of studying it, I kind of look at it. But my nephew, I tutor him, and he comes in and he loves it. Tell me about this. And so that's even a cool resource as a parent. They sell that book if you want it with just pictures of each book of the Bible, but just showing them those videos. I mean, I show them in KidsGate too.
The videos
sometimes.
and honestly printing out I don't want to take away sales from them, but the book is huge. I mean, it's not an easy book to just, hey, I'll get that out and look at it. I mean, it's like, on a coffee table.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a cool book, but it's
very cool.
But the
big.
posters you could just print or pull up, and it's a
Yes.
cool way to like discuss. It was something I hadn't thought of until my nephew saw it. Of realizing there's a potential here that I hadn't thought about, which is he's looking at it and he's asking questions in a way that he wouldn't before. Well, why are these soldiers here? Or what's this? This person looks sad. Why? And then it
Oh my
invites
gosh. Isn't
you
that great?
to share about the Bible in a way that you wouldn't have had that opportunity before.
Yeah, and in case it's not clear, like the videos and the posters are all full of like a very cohesive type of animation. Like there's like that goes across like all of their platforms. So and I think sometimes with these kind of things like Bible Project, where it's sort of biblical, study and research and all that stuff, it can sound really dry. The beauty of the Bible Project is not only is their research incredible and
Deep.
very deep, and we align at Eastgate. We align with a lot of their thinking about how to read the Bible and how to interpret it. But it's also incredibly user friendly. It's not It's not. The pastor Tim Mackey does have teachings where he is real, like his brain does kind of go to the furthest degree. But most of their stuff is incredibly approachable. It doesn't feel,
it doesn't
difficult
feel
to comprehend.
It doesn't feel so academic that it's out of reach.
Exactly.
It feels
It's
very
like entry
accessible.
level stuff. You don't
Yeah.
have to go into it knowing a lot. And I think,
I promise you, if you got serious and just got in there and started going through it, you would have a grasp of the Bible that you have never had before. That's
I
the reality
completely
of it.
agree. And it's called the Bible Project. Obviously they've expanded. I mean, their focus is still the Bible.
Yeah,
But
it's
I mean, the original idea was to make the Bible like present it in a way that people could understand
Right.
without losing what the scripture is teaching, but actually helping to articulate what the scripture is teaching in a way that our culture can understand, because, we are very different cultures and that we are separated by time
Right.
and all of those things that our culture today, we aren't raised understanding those other cultures.
No.
And we aren't raised understanding those different types of writing styles and things like that. And so I think for me, it became a humbling experience, because you think, oh, this was written so long ago, they don't understand,
Yeah.
And you realize, oh, no, there was a genius behind these writings.
I'm telling
you know
you,
what I'm
the
saying?
more you look at that, the more, it's actually, for me, it just keeps reinforcing the inspiration of it, that this is unbelievable. The amount of, if you were to just take it at face value, the amount of thought and foresight that had to go into that, it to me emphasizes a supernatural
Right. That all
emphasis
these
to
different people over all these different
Yeah.
countries in span of time were able to,
Put
that God
something
was able to
cohesive.
use all of this together. That's true, because what I'm trying to think of too, of other, I don't know, just even different types of religions where it's like one person has written this one thing and everybody will follow that.
That's the majority of religion.
Yeah, but that this is something that's connected through a lot of people, and it's showing God
Over a
working at all
long
those
span
things.
of time. That's
Yeah.
what's and it's so, and it remains cohesive, and it remains something that is written in such a way that it contains layers, that requires. It's not, you cannot just read the Bible and say, oh yeah, I read that. I saw, I read that through. It absolutely demands that you read it, reread it, and then discuss it and work through it and meditate on it.
But we're getting lost in the Bible nerdery.
Uh-oh.
We're
We
actually
did
not
it.
talking about
We messed up.
Bible Project anymore. No, that's really good. And what the Bible, and I'll bring it back. The Bible
Thank you,
Project
Matt.
does a really good job of sort of proving a lot of these things that we're saying.
That's right.
The interconnectedness of it all.
I think that also the way that they go about, like on their podcasts and even with their videos usually too, maybe not always, but is that they will have a conversation back and forth. So there's Tim Mackey and there's John. It's not John, but it's so it's Tim Mackey and then John Collins, and of course Tim Mackey provides the academic insight behind this, but John Collins is able to walk us through asking the questions that we would normally kind of come up with, like
Right.
like wait, what does that mean, or where did that come from? And it really is a great learning exercise. I really love the conversational tone that they take in that.
it's the sort of natural way that you and Janelle and Rob on Sunday mornings will sometimes say, well, where did you get that idea from? Well, let me tell you. I'm glad you asked. It's the real person version of that.
Wait, what does he mean
Hey.
by that? The real
No,
person?
I mean, because there's two people, as opposed to you just being like,
just being up
well,
there
Rob, what do
conversational.
you mean about
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you
It is
asked.
true.
Yeah.
Does anybody get
That's a recurring motif in our teachings.
Is it uncomfortable? Like, is that guy having a
No,
dialogue with
actually,
himself?
if anything, it's very comforting because you're like,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, he just.
I know this move. Sink into this.
All right, so our VIP has just arrived. They wanted to be fashionably late, but they're here. Go ahead and say hi to everybody.
Hi, I'm Blake, and I'm late.
I think
That's his job.
Isn't that typical? Are we?
His job description is late.
we didn't invite him, but he figured out where we were. He found us.
We were well hidden, almost like one of these things. That was the whole. We had set it up like you can be on the podcast, but you got to find us.
And sure enough, he always does, though, man.
To be fair, we really literally did it in the same place we always do it. So I'm not sure we hid that well.
I'm surprised it took as long as it did.
That's Blake for you.
He needs a theme song, and that's Blake.
But I'm here now to ruin everything, so
Thank you.
that won't change. I
This
just
segment
couldn't
calls Blake ruins everything.
Oh,
No,
that's
but
the
here,
whole show.
you know what? You know why it's really important that Blake has shown up now, because we're moving into looking at Indeed and Truth Ministries, and Blake is one who's had experience being in the very place where Indeed and Truth ministers. So let's talk about Indeed and Truth. They are a ministry that we were introduced to when Susie Zeckman came and had come to Eastgate, found us. She's originally from England, but her mom lives locally here, and so she found us as a church and just started being a part of our fellowship. And when we heard about her ministry that is over in South Sudan, it just sounded amazing. Like, started off in a famine-ravaged area of South
War-torn.
Sudan. I'm sorry?
war-torn.
War-torn, yeah. They were just post-war, present famine. She went there to minister, wasn't even totally sure what all it was going to entail. Now it is a thriving medical clinic, pastoral training. They do what's called CHE, which is Christian Health Evangelism. Community Health Evangelism, where they go in and they teach people the basics of how to, basics of hygiene or how to work your gardens or things like that. But then they use it as a means also to express God's love for people. They're planting churches everywhere. It's just amazing. And I remember when she told me about all this, and I said, that's really cool. That's really awesome. I will never go to South Sudan. That is never going to happen.
And it's like in the movies where you say that and it cuts to an airplane.
Yeah, and me on the way to South Sudan.
Twice, right?
Twice. I've gone
Yeah.
twice.
So that's, you maybe only would have had to go once if you hadn't mocked God.
Cautionary tale.
Saying, I'm
Never
never going to
mock
do
God, or
that.
you're going on a mission trip.
And
Twice.
And the second time he had to go with me, so
That's
it was all.
He's never been the same. Yeah, Blake, you've been
I
over
think
there
the twitch
too.
will go away eventually. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was astounding. I actually had serious, like, reverse culture shock whenever I came back, and also while you're there, I mean, they don't have stuff. They don't have stores and the things, and so you literally have to rely on God every moment of every day on if you're going to do anything. And it's astounding to watch God provide
Yeah.
over and over and over again all day long. So I was there for a couple weeks and that was happening. And then I actually had a problem whenever I got back. I was like, God, I don't, how am I supposed to have faith in America? I got AutoZone and Walmart and Church's Chicken and everything else. And so it was a little difficult for me for a while, but while you're there, I mean, God's presence is so palpable.
Yes.
And you see great things happen. I mean, kids that are surviving things kids die from toothaches over there that get infected and get into their body and stuff like that. And then they're providing ways to keep that from happening.
Right.
It's
and so he's describing how difficult. I mean, it is a hard place, and I know it's changed. I haven't been there over 10 years, and I can even just see in the videos how it's changing and progressing. But the fact that they were able to establish a clinic in the most primitive, I mean, we're talking people living in mud huts all around it,
literally,
and they started with a gas generator and a makeshift shack, basically, that they set up little stalls in to start doing medical care. Their first church was meeting under a tree by kind of a palapa hut. It's nothing short of a miracle that they've been able to do all of these things. Have just kind of grown up out of nowhere, and I'm not convinced Tanj would be in the shape that it's in if it weren't for the fact that clinic is there and all the good that's occurred.
Well, and she does so. Susie is just an amazing human being,
really
and
is.
what she's able to organize and how she's able to communicate the needs of what's going on. Because I remember, it wasn't that long ago she came in sharing about the famine, of how things were close to famine level,
Right.
and pretty serious.
Yeah.
And just it was a humbling thing to see the community response here.
Yeah.
To that, of just the money that poured in
Right.
to help care for that. I remember, Dad, that you went over, and part of what your job was to help paint murals in the hospital to help kind of bring some life into that space. And wasn't it like there was a day or 2 days that you couldn't get started because you couldn't find a pencil?
No, it was.
No, he found a pencil.
Well, no. It was, first of all, I couldn't transport paints over there. So the paints, they just had to find what was there. And it was kind of like working with wet chalk. It was strange. Apparently it's still there, which is surprising to me. Maybe another miracle. But I'm trying to pencil the thing out and trying to get ready to go and working on this stuff. And my pencil broke.
Mm-hmm.
And, here your pencil breaks. You look around, you open a drawer, you go almost anywhere. Look in any corner. There's a pencil somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding, man. I spent in near 100-degree weather, spent half of a day walking around the compound just looking for anybody who had
With
a
a
pencil.
broken pencil.
With a broken pencil. Looking for anybody who had either a pencil or a knife that could sharpen it. And I came upon...
Who's that insane man? Oh, that's Susie's pastor.
And you go, I'm helping. And you're holding this broken pencil.
I know it.
Just let him keep wandering.
I went over there with people that had construction skills and nursing skills and all this really cool stuff. And I got to find a pencil so I can do my thing. Oh, what's your thing? I'm going to paint a picture.
I'm going to draw a picture for you guys.
Doodles. Okay, I do doodle.
But I came across Blake and Matt McAllister, and they
And
had
Garrett.
torn. No, Garrett was still making bricks.
Oh, that's right.
But you guys,
You're like, I can't help you guys.
They'd been tasked with trying to look at a transmission.
We had a whole transmission
and
out
I
with
walk in on this. It looked like a transmission had exploded on the ground, and those two were sitting on the ground just kind of staring at stuff. And I said, "Do you guys have a pencil?"
I think I ended up having a knife that I could sharpen it
Yeah.
with.
Well, first you tried to attack me with it because I was asking for a pencil while you were in the midst of it. But I said, "Hey, you got a knife here? That'll work."
I just feel like it's important that we address something because Blake said that he came back to America with Church's Chicken, and we don't have a Church's Chicken.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm a
you're
little
a
upset.
There was
liar.
I had a experience with God on the corner of Cherry Street and 98 over in Callaway, and there was a Church's Chicken at the time.
But after you were there, they...
That was
The
it.
experience with God was that I set it on fire.
I remember that.
That's still an unsolved mystery to this day.
Not anymore.
No, maybe we can change this podcast to like one of those true crime things.
Yeah.
The end of every episode, we blame Blake for a murder or a crime that has not actually happened.
Poor Blake. Everybody
I'm
knows,
fine.
right, that we're having fun with Blake.
No,
because-
not everybody knows.
I'm not having fun.
I get...
Blake is
Blake, don't do that. I'm regularly being talked to about Blake and like, be nice to Blake. And I'm like, oh.
Blake has gaslit
gosh.
this entire community into thinking I'm just a humble guy here to help. Microphones turn off and the guns start blazing.
You ought to hear what I say to these people.
That's what Blake says, because he said one of the days Dad and I gave Blake a really hard time on stage. One of the
I don't
many
remember-
times.
Yeah, one of the you got to
Somebody
be more
was
specific.
like, "Oh, Blake, are you okay? I hate the way And Blake said, "You guys don't understand." Right before Janelle went on stage, I said, "Is that what you're wearing today? Is that what you're going to wear going up there?"
I did.
But the difference is that Blake is smart enough to not say those things into a microphone, and that's
And
on
we're
me.
not. We're not
Because
smart like that.
We're still doing it now. We have
We are.
microphones, and we're still doing it. We will never
It's
learn.
almost like a trigger, like the microphone getting spread. Where's Blake?
Where's Blake?
We've asked Nate to cut a lot of things, but this is not something we'll ask him to cut. Leave this in. Actually, you know what? Copy it and double it.
Well, and it seems worse because I'm like, he's mean to us too, and they're like, okay.
And even then,
And he's
Brooke's
just
like,
quiet.
Yeah, you're right.
He's just
I
quiet
am.
over here, just
I just-
humbly
yeah,
taking it.
like-
I'm just
you're
waiting
right, I
for the
deserve it.
emails to come in after they listen to this podcast.
It's 5 people, if that.
We hope there's 5 because they got to find these bookmarks.
That's right.
There's only 3 bookmarks I'm hiding.
Oh, well,
I keep forgetting. I think it's 5.
It's 3.
okay. So maybe there's 3 people.
Anyway, those are the missions we support. Nate, do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, Janelle, you mentioned earlier that when you support Eastgate, you're supporting these missions. I was kind of curious what the criteria for the missions that we support looks like.
Yeah, so typically it's people that we know personally. You know, we except for Bible Project. I mean, we are aware of each one of these.
But we're deeply invested in that, in using its resources, so we're very familiar with it.
But
and-
it's honestly been kind of an organic thing that's grown. Like, it started with just 1 or 2 things that we supported,
Right.
and then we became aware of other really important ministries that could use financial support and that we wanted to financially support. Like with the Panama City Rescue Mission, we
Yeah.
know that they're in a rebuilding phase. We know Dad's on the board. We can trust where the money is going. And that's something too that's really important to us, that we're not initially, like, we're not necessarily like the startup people. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, we need to see that this is well established. It needs to kind of be a proven thing.
well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean,
because we want to make sure we're careful with the church's finances,
Right.
and that we're not reckless in where this money is going.
So a guy that used to be on the board before he and his wife moved to Colorado, but Dan Crute was the one who kind of formulated our mission vision or maybe principles. And part of it was that, we've got limited resources, so we can't just expand too much. We want to support a few and support them as well as we can. And then also just make sure that we know these missions. And, so we're not always like racing around trying to find new causes, but we are always open and keeping our eyes open and staying aware of what the Lord may bring across our path, if that's something that we can do.
I know, like, Kim has a connection to Haiti with Pastor Bastia.
Yes.
And we have wanted to donate to him on a regular basis. We didn't have it in the budget last year. Like, the budget had already been established by the time we had decided to do that. This year's budget is much smaller, so we can't do that. But one thing that we did last year was a thing called Giving Sunday, where we were able to do it one time where all the money that comes into the offering, we donate to a specific group. And so we decided to donate it to Pastor Bastia in Haiti because we believed in his ministries. We
Yes.
have connections there.
We've
trust.
been there.
We've been there. We trust that the finances will be spent well. And so we donated, I'm trying to look at it. I think it was like, I don't know if that was maybe last year or the year before, but it was over $10,000. I think it might have been the year before last. It was over $10,000. And then last year's Giving Sunday was to Panama City Rescue Mission. Except for the Bible Project, we know the people running all of these missions. And, the reason that we added the Bible Project to it is because we use their resources so much. Julia Gazignaire is leading a small group on the Sermon on the Mount, and it's a Bible Project-based small group that she's using all of their resources for that. And so we wanted to donate back to a ministry that has been so helpful to our ministry, and in that way. But I mean, it's a smaller amount compared to all the other ones. But otherwise, I mean, we know the people at Beach Care Services. We know Indeed and Truth. We know the people at the Ark. Dad's on the board at the Panama City Rescue Mission. So last year, I pulled up the numbers. We did $10,000 to church community support. So that's people in the community that needed
in this community, you're
in
talking
our
about
church,
in our church community.
Eastgate church community that needed help financially. That was $10,000. And then local missions, we did over 3,000. And then overseas missions, that would be Haiti and Indeed and Truth. That was almost $10,000. And then we did a Giving Sunday to the Panama City Rescue Mission, and that was $13,500. So
it's not like, in the grander scheme of things, these are not like huge numbers that completely support or finance a ministry, but it's our demonstration of our belief in these things, and we've stated over and over again. I think you're the one who coined the phrase. Our goal is not to build wealth. We have no interest in that. So, like, if there's a savings account and we've got what we need for emergency funding or things like that, we don't need to keep this stuff. Now, some people could look around this building and say, have you seen the state of this place? Maybe you should keep something. But
Well, if they're looking around the building, I hope they're looking for these bookmarks.
that's right. We should hide them in all the places that need repaired.
That need some cleaning.
Like the Effie Coleman coin.
That's right. From the past.
You know, and we should leave it with a note. This is while you're here, we wipe down the baseboard.
We do literally have some back walls that we have taped with Scotch tape.
Yes.
It's fine.
But I just think too that it's. I'm proud of our priorities with that.
I'm proud of our community.
that
I mean,
we
the
don't-
way that everybody steps up here is astounding.
Mhm.
I'm so humbled all the time by the generosity of the Eastgate community. It blows my mind.
Well, I know too. Locally in the area, we are known for being generous. We have that reputation.
I didn't realize it, but
Didn't know that.
it came to my attention from several different sources that we're known as a generous community.
We do have a financial report in case anybody missed it. It's a 2024 financial report on one side and then 2025 budget on the other. And we keep it at the Info Hub. It explains where the money went for outreach, and it also explains our goals for 2025. And every single one of those goals is... Well, actually, one is for a new floor, but the other one, there's ripped up flooring that we'd like to fix. But the other ones are, the goals are, and our priority is to put more back out into the community. And I don't know. I'm proud of our Scotch tape walls and that we have that and that we can say that we donated to the other things. Because, those are the treasures in heaven that we're building up. All this stuff's going to fade away, especially that wall. That's going to go.
It's going to be the first. to
Not
go.
going to be long.
We should put a sign on the wall that says, "My treasures in heaven." My walls in heaven are nice.
But we don't need to have the nicest facility for God to do what He's going to do.
Absolutely not.
So,
Look, I'm sorry, but we were just talking about it. The church in Tanj there started under a tree. I mean, and great things are happening. There are 2,000 people that are part of that fellowship now. So,
You've always said church is not the building. I mean,
Absolutely
you
not.
had people come in toward the beginning
Yeah,
asking about the
we
church.
regularly have people too.
But back when we used to have it decorated a little differently, what did somebody say? I'm tired of this place looking like a frat house or whatever. But we had a lot of crazy decorations at one time, and people would come in saying, "Man, this is a weird looking church." And I'd say, "Oh, no, this is just the building. Wait till you see the church. They're really weird."
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. Anyway, those are the missions we support. If anyone ever has questions, let us know. But we're really excited about these groups and excited to share it. And we realize it's something that, the staff is aware of this, the board is aware of this, but we
do our best to try to communicate
We
it,
make
but-
bookmarks and hide them.
That's
What
right.
else do you people want from us? Is there really anything else that can be done? I don't know.
We do genuinely make posters and stuff for some of these things, but then a month later the posters are out of date. So I think the bookmarks is the way to go because they're easier to just flip and be like, "Oh, okay, this is new, this is different."
And if one's wrong, we just say, don't look at this
Just
side.
don't look at that side. That's right. Mark it out.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight one of the things. It's not really a mission. Well, I guess you could call it a mission, but a group that we're a part of is Pastors United. I think it's a really cool group, and I wanted to highlight that. So,
Well, Pastors United is a group that formed back in 2020, I believe it was. I remember the pandemic was still going on in the wake of what happened with George Floyd and the riots that were breaking out, and there was just a determined desire among different pastors from the churches that represent different cultural backgrounds and all to come together and see if we couldn't have a kingdom response to these things, a kingdom response to injustice that doesn't return violence for violence, but actually is, representing God's love. And that was the premise of it. So it's had its ups and downs. We've,
Been 5 years.
It's been 5 years. We've made some great friendships and relationships that I'm not convinced I would have had otherwise. And so I'm appreciative of that.
Also, we meet with city leaders.
Yeah.
So it's a group of churches that will meet with city leaders, the city manager, the chief of police. We've become friends with them.
Yes.
Over time, built relations with them, and Pastors United is devoted to being proactive in these things.
Instead of reactive.
Right. And so whenever a situation does come up, either from the city side and they need assistance from pastors, they know that they can call us and we'll go out there and do what we can. And from our side of things, if there's something that's happening in the city that we feel is unjust, we're able to speak with the city managers about that, or the city leaders about that, and we work on it together. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that we were instrumental in getting body cameras for the police.
That was
officers.
Yes. Brad Friday talked about that. That was one of the first things that was achieved by that after meetings with the Panama City Police.
Well, and just having those relationships are great because, we even have their contact information. So when things come up, we can reach out to them. But,
the Chief of Police actually gave out his cell phone number.
And let's give it out.
Oh,
here.
yeah, right. Yeah. We'll be posting that. No. Not
we'll
at all.
also hide that in the building.
Just to build trust with them,
Yeah.
No,
will
but
not
yeah,
be doing that.
we're proud of that connection, and it's something too that there is so much, unfortunately, division in the church, and it is wonderful to have an opportunity every single month to come together with other churches and other pastors, and I think there was a real culture shock when we first joined in terms of like we have ways that our church is used to doing things and hearing different ways that people pray, hearing different ways that people plan, and there's a lot of people in charge together in one room, and what it does is it requires humility from everyone in order for it to work. And it's been an amazing thing that week after week, month after month, that we show up year after year with humility. And it's funny that those things that were so jarring to me at first, I don't even think about
Not
now.
at all.
That it's funny, other people show up and be like, oh, that was, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess. But once you have those relationships, you realize that those things that feel so big, they really don't matter the way that you think they do. So that I think that's been, you see why God calls us into those relationships.
That's
and
right.
There's a lot of fruit in there.
There is, and it's one of the earmarked. I guess that's for me one of those things that was when I began kind of looking at this idea, like, is this important? Should we be pursuing this? And then to go to the New Testament, more than the New Testament, through the entire biblical narrative and realize this emphasis is there. And not just there, but, well, emphasized. An emphasis that's emphasized.
Wow.
That's deep. That's deep. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's what Blake
that's
and I...
Bible Project level
Yeah, we
stuff
just
right
did a
there.
whole-
Blake and I did a teaching that you wrote, but we did it on Sunday, and it goes from Genesis to Revelation, showing that. And so,
And one of the things that was so remarkable about the early church, so you had Rome and you had Roman society, and they were very blended in a lot of ways. Everybody had freedom to do these things, but they were very, very segregated and distinct in their specific areas. So especially when it came to class distinction and things like that, you just didn't mingle those. And that was the remarkable thing about the early church. Antioch was blowing everybody's minds because all of these people from all the different stratas were gathering together and being part of this new thing that was happening in the earth. And it was alarming. Or the book of Acts, when the tongues, they began speaking in the languages of the people around, this unifying effect, declaring the importance of this, of how God's gathering his people back into a singular family under his good and fatherly rule.
Amen.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Nate.
you, Nate.
If you, the listener, have any questions or if there's something you want to learn more about, you can send us an email at egcfpodcast@gmail.com. Join us next episode as we continue with David's story. Thank you so much for listening.
Why can't we give it a chill?
I dressed up like that as well.
Closer, child.
Where's the cinnamon rolls?
Okay, so this is great stuff. Woo! Ba-dum-bum, psh.